Welcome back to the Catholic Sprouts podcast, where we know that every day is a feast day. Today is August 23rd, so stay tuned for the story of St. Rose of Lima, the first flower of the Americas. A young woman knelt in a tiny wooden chapel right in the middle of a vibrant flower garden. She was beautiful. Everyone in Lima said so. And on her head was a crown of thorns. But if you looked more closely, you would see something strange. Beneath the soft petals and leaves of the flowers, hidden where no one could see, was a ring of metal spikes pressed into her skin. She had made this hidden crown herself, and she wore it to be close to Jesus. This woman's name was Rose, and she was the first saint of the Americas. Welcome back, Sprouts. Today is August 23rd, the feast of St. Rose of Lima, the first person born in all of North or South America to be declared a saint. Stay tuned as we step into a garden in colonial Peru and discover what it looks like to love Jesus above everything the world considers to be beautiful. Saint Rose of Lima was born in 1586 in the town of Lima, Peru, which was then part of the great Spanish colonial empire in South America. Lima was a bustling city full of Spanish settlers, indigenous people, and enslaved people brought from Africa. A city of great beauty and great suffering, where some people had everything and many others had almost nothing. From the time that she was a little girl, Rose was strikingly beautiful, so beautiful that people admired her wherever she went, and her family hoped that she would make good marriage. But Rose had already given her heart completely to Jesus, and there was no room in it for anything else. Instead of being married, Rose became a Dominican tertiary, a member of the order of preachers who live in the world but dedicate themselves entirely to God. She built a tiny hermitage in her family's flower garden. Her hermitage was a small wooden room barely big enough to kneel in, and she spent hours there each day in prayer, sitting quietly with Jesus, listening, speaking to him the way you speak to your closest friend. It was in that little room that Rose's friendship with Jesus grew deeper than almost anyone around her could understand. And it was there that Rose began to understand something about suffering. She thought about Jesus on the cross, and she thought about the crown of thorns pressed into his head, the weight of the world's sin bearing down on him. And she felt a deep longing to be close to him in that hurt. She did not want to hurt herself, but to offer something real, to say, Jesus, I want to share what you carried. I want my pain to mean something because you are worth everything. So she made her own crown. On the outside, it was woven with roses, so fragrant and beautiful and soft. But on the inside, hidden against her skin, were metal spikes. The crown of thorn, worn in secret, offered to Jesus every single day her suffering. She lined her simple dress with rough cloth that scratched her skin. She fasted. She slept very little. Every discomfort, every ache, she picked it up and handed it to Jesus. Suffering, she had learned, does not have to be wasted. When we offer it to God, it becomes something holy. But Rose was not only a woman of prayer and sacrifice, she was also a woman of action. Off her garden, she opened a little room where she welcomed anyone in need. The sick came, the desperately poor came, indigenous people came, people who had been enslaved. Rose washed their wounds. She fed them. She sat beside them. She saw in every suffering face the face of Jesus, the same Lord she carried hidden beneath her crown of roses. Rose of Lima died on August 24th, 1617. She was only 31 years old. The entire city of Lima came out to mourn her, and it took days to bring her body to its resting place because of the many people who loved her. 45 years after her death, Pope Clement X declared her a saint, the first saint of all the Americas, the first flower of the New World. The story of St. Rose of Lima teaches us that suffering offered to Jesus is never wasted. Even something small, like a hard day or a scraped knee, can become an act of love when we give it to Him. St. Rose of Lima, pray for us. Now, before we go, St. Rose of Lima has a challenge for you. The next time something hurts or feels hard, instead of wishing it away, offer it to Jesus and say, "This is for you." That is exactly how Rose turned every difficulty into a deeper relationship with Jesus. Well, Sprouts, that's all for today. But come back tomorrow to hear the story of another Catholic hero. Until then, continue to sprout into the incredible creation that God intends you to be.